Hey there! This video is going to go over a bunch of advanced tips for Deep Rock Galactic. You'll be able to feel your beard getting grayer as you watch. If you haven't seen my basic tips version of this video, then make sure you go check that out first, but let's hop right into these more advanced tips. The effects of the buff beards can be very impactful in a mission, and for that reason you may wish that it wasn't randomized so that you could pick which beard you got. You can simply click this disband team button while you're in the space rig to respawn yourself, and it will re-roll the active buff beard. Here's how to handle a rival presence warning without breaking a sweat. All you need to do is locate the turret controller, ping it, or have somebody on your team ping it so that everybody can see it through the walls. Then Driller will tunnel into the bottom of the turret controller, being very careful not to breach the surface or make any holes that bugs can squeeze into. One dwarf, preferably the engineer, goes into the tunnel behind him to protect him during the hack and to platform off the entrance to the tunnel. Now the other members of your team need to stay far away from the turret controller while this is happening, because if any of the repulsion turrets activate, they may push your driller off of the hack and it can just be more of a headache that way. And there you go, you've got the turret controller down without having to fight at all. The next tip is a bit of a long one, and that is to preemptively prepare your terrain, especially on missions like on-site refining or point extraction where you're spending most of your time in one same place. This means different things for different classes. If you walk into a room with, say, a 100 or so foot cliff, Driller should go ahead and drill a tunnel down so that the whole team has the ability to walk back out of that tunnel if you need to during the extraction or just to escape a threat. Driller should also break some pillars or in general any line of sight blockers to make a nicer area to fight in. Especially on point extraction, drillers should use the terrain scanner to see if there are any nearby caves that they can drill to create shortcuts back to the minehead so that you don't have to carry in a quark long distances to get it back to the base. The same applies for on-site refining, where there's no reason to run a pipeline through a winding cavern when you could just drill a tunnel that cuts the distance in half. Gunners should be setting up ziplines in big caves even if they aren't for the purpose of going anywhere in particular. The ziplines will give your team options to kite bugs by getting out of melee range, or just to jump off of high places and break their fall damage by grabbing hold of one of them. Engineers can preemptively platform some rough terrain, especially on something like Magma Core, to make the playing field a bit more easy to work with, and also to give people the options for reducing their fall damage. On the topic of keeping your area well maintained, you should mine down spent resupply pods. Digging them down by 3 terrain bits is the perfect amount to get them out of your line of sight, and Engie can even go the extra mile by platforming over the top of them so that they're out of sight and out of mind. The Gunner's heavy autocannon has a damage resistance while at full fire rate perk. If you accidentally stumble over a cliff as the Gunner, you can use this to wind yourself up to maximum fire rate, give yourself a little bit of damage resistance, and potentially save you from dying to fall damage. When you're in the space rig, you don't actually need to go to the Mission Select terminal to open the Mission Select terminal. You can do this by pressing Tab on PC. I'm not sure if there's a button on console, but I'm sure there probably is. You should dig down the points that you have to defend in salvage so you have a better line of sight at all the bugs coming at you. Driller can do this by simply standing right in the middle, looking 45 degrees down, and drilling for 1 tick. You can do this with your pickaxe as well, it's just a little bit more annoying and less consistent. Please, please do not be that driller that decides to C4 the defense points on this mission type. All you're doing is putting you and your team in Satan's cereal bowl and denying yourself all of the lines of sight that you would have had if you just stayed on flat ground. Please don't do this, it is kick eligible in my opinion, and I don't kick people often. I swear I probably lose 50% of the games where somebody decides to do this. It is never worth it. Let's talk about how to kill a Huli Hoarder. It frustrates me so bad when people aggro Huli Hoarders from across the map and wonder why they burrow, and then type sad faces in the chat acting like they didn't expect that to happen. The way a Huli Hoarder works is it will burrow if there is no players nearby for long enough. What this means is as soon as you aggro the Huli, first off, you and your fellow dwarf should be as close as you can, but once it's aggroed, the scout is the most capable person to stick next to it. Even if this means you're not going to be doing much damage because you're too busy focused on grappling towards it, you should stay as close as you can to make sure it doesn't burrow and give your teammates the time to kill it. Scouts, please do not call Molly to the nitra vein that you just found 50 feet up in the air. Even though you do most of the mining for your team as the scout, you are blessed with the gift of very fast mobility with the grapple gun. This means if you're calling Molly way far away from your team, all 3 of your teammates cannot deposit very easily since you've decided Molly needs to be on the top of a skyscraper. Use your movement to get to Molly and deposit the minerals that you need, and you can go back for any that you left behind. This will save your teammates a lot of headache. For a similar reason, you should prioritize getting minerals that are harder to reach and let your teammates get the ones that are on the ground. I'm sure you know that anyone in the game can help build engineers' turrets. Helping out will save your engineer some time, especially if they don't have the faster building perk. If you have multiple engineers, they can actually refill each other's turrets with ammo as well. Not only that, but if you're running turret whip, you can whip any turret even if it's not your own. I love having a line of Engi turrets that I can play like a symphony of destruction. While on the topic of engineer, let me walk you through how to set up the defensive platform roof to protect Doretta during the rock phase of the armor in Hearthstone. I see many people building these way too close to Doretta so that the rocks still hit them with the splash damage. The key is to make sure that you build decently high. There should be more than enough room for a dwarf to stand on top of Doretta without hitting their head on the roof. Most rocks will path above your platform bridge, and if a few stray rocks manage to slip under, you can easily take them out. It should be mentioned that Engi needs to be repairing the roof during the duration of this phase. The rocks do damage the platforms and may eventually create a hole, so stay in a high enough spot that you can fix the damage done to the top of the bridge. Hey friends, if you made it this far in the video, please do me a huge favor and click the like button, and if you think that I've earned it, maybe even click subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the video. You get knocked off of Gunner's zipline if you take too much damage while on it. If you can anticipate that you may get knocked off soon, you can spam the interact key at the zipline to re-grab hold after you get knocked off, preventing you from plummeting. As you can see here, I start getting lit up by a menace while I'm on my zipline, so I start spamming E so that I don't fall off, and I actually snag myself twice in this clip. Or here with the armor in Hearthstone's explosion from in between the phases, which normally will knock you off the zipline. It doesn't knock me off here because I'm spamming E. While most interactables in the game do speed up when multiple dwarves are holding E on them, this is not the case for repairing Doretta. I see it all the time where multiple dwarves are hammering away trying to make Doretta gain health faster, but unfortunately you cannot make it go any faster than one dwarf repairing. If more than one dwarf is repairing Doretta, it means you guys are losing out on valuable firepower and letting the bugs stack up more than you should for no gain at all. If you've had a few too many beers but don't want to go into a mission tipsy, you can jump into the hoop to feel better without becoming a dirty leaf lover. The driller can crack open Ebo nuts with his power drills much faster than he can with his pickaxe. On fungus bogs, drillers' throwing axes are the best way to take out these annoying gas-emitting things. They won't waste your axes either because the game treats these things as terrain so you can still retrieve your axes afterwards. Many scouts use this method where you cancel your grapple early and power attack yourself into the wall, that way you can reach high up places and get a foothold without needing an engineer platform. I don't have a good way to teach you guys how to do this, it really just takes practice with the timing and your aim, but it feels really nice once you're able to do this consistently. If you line it up correctly, you can use resupply pods to knock down things from the ceiling, like eggs or maybe some minerals. It's somewhat rare, but if one of the deep dives has a main objective caretaker fight and a side objective of a dreadnought, you can get the caretaker to very low HP, then have somebody on your team pop the dreadnought egg. Once they have spawned, you kill the caretaker and it will instantly kill the dreadnought. This is because upon defeating the caretaker, it instantly kills all other bugs on the map, so you can save yourself a lot of time and ammo by using this method. I've done this in the past, but I can't find the clip, so take this clip of me using a bulk to kill one of the twins instead. Okay, so I literally just found this out today, but all of these electric crystals on crystalline caverns can actually be destroyed by shooting them. I always thought you had to hit them with your pickaxe. but that's not the case. You can shoot them, and this is another great use case for the driller's throwing axes, because once again, these are considered terrain, and you can pick your axes back up afterwards, so it costs you no ammo to destroy them. When fighting the twins, you want to keep their health bars within a few percentage points of each other at all times during the fight. They have one mandatory healing phase at around 50 or 60% health, and then after that, they won't heal again as long as you keep their health bars close. The second one of them gets too different from the others, they'll teleport away and do their heal. In Season 4, they've greatly increased the number of Rockpox enemies that spawn when clearing out contagion spikes. Because of this, you should make sure to foam every part of the contagion spike that you can see before you start trying to clean it off. Don't have one player with a foamer and the other player with a lithovac coming right behind them, because before you even get halfway through the contagion spike, you're going to be completely surrounded by enemies. By foaming everything first, you can vacuum it all off quickly and get out of there before you get swarmed by all of the enemy spawns. Using your power attack to destroy any terrain in one hit is a really nice way to save yourself some time when digging. To make sure you're getting the maximum use out of this, you should make sure to power attack right after you break a piece of terrain. This is because for 2 or 3 hit terrain, there's no reason to power attack a piece of terrain that you've already hit normally with your pickaxe, because it's going to break on the next normal hit regardless. This is a very minor speed up, but it feels good to do and you'll save yourself some time in the long run. Point extraction is the only mission type that gets progressively harder the longer you stay in the mission. For this reason, you should really try not to lollygag and get out of there as soon as you can, because the swarms will get ungodly in their size very quickly. Like in most FPS games, you can reload animation cancel in DRG. The easiest way to do this is to tap your pickaxe button as soon as you see your mag get refilled in the bottom right. You can see that this saves a good amount of time for some guns in this comparison. The driller can make a hole underneath turrets and it will instantly kill them. Engineer can use this cool trick to kite the bugs. By setting up 2 platform bridges with a small gap in the middle, the engineer can manipulate the bug's pathing by jumping from one bridge to another, forcing bugs to walk all the way around the terrain to get to the start of the other bridge to reach you. By repeating this, you can essentially be untouchable by melee ranged bugs. Before you open or start Doretta, listen for big threats along the path of the dozer, like a Nemesis or a Betsy. If you hear one, you should drill ahead to clear it out before you have to deal with it, while also trying to defend Dottie in the middle of a swarm. Let's talk about how to make sure you're getting good use out of your Iron Will. Try to mentally note any red sugar that you see, and another big tip is, if things start to get hairy, a couple of teammates are going down, you're not sure if you're going to be able to pull out a clutch. If there are no sources of healing near you and you're starting to get overrun, maybe a couple of teammates have downed, things are just getting hairy, you should try to call in a resupply pod before you end up kicking the can yourself. That way you have the option to res yourself on that resupply pod if everybody ends up downing and needing to Iron Will. Obviously, you can use your vampire perk to res yourself if you're running that. Often drillers have this and can res themselves with their axes or drills. But for the other characters, scout, look up to the ceiling and maybe find yourself a red sugar vein that nobody else can really access, because all you really need is 1 HP to revive yourself when you're in the Iron Will state. If you have any kind of weaponry that can break terrain, shoot it at some high up red sugar if you can't reach it, just to knock it down and give yourself that extra revive. I finally set up my channel membership so that anybody who wants to can support me directly for making this content. I'm having trouble coming up with perks to offer for my membership, so if you guys have any ideas, please be sure to let me know, because I am all ears. Thank you so much to anybody that does choose to support me directly like this. Carl knows I need it. It means a whole lot to me. And thank you guys so much for 3,000 subscribers, and thank you again for watching this video. Rock and Stone, brothers.